Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I thought I would sit down and do a video for you guys and gals. Let me get a sip of my water first. Get my radio voice going and let's talk about this. All right, let's talk a little bit about some of the strategies I use as a coach for my dad bod transformations. All right, because that is something I do more and more of these days. I do help middle-aged men. Sometimes, obviously, they have a base. They've already been training. Almost always, they've been training a while. Help them transform their physique. The issue we have, though, is that oftentimes, again, the dad bod guy, there's a typical dad lifestyle. They're usually busy, right? They have a lot of work they have to get done. They have to have time with the kids. They've got to do all these things, and they're not 25 anymore, okay? So they have careers, they have kids, they are oftentimes aging a little bit. And we all know training, recovery, body fat, all these things are different. Once you start hitting about 35, stuff starts to change. And I'm saying that as a 47-year-old lifter. Things start to change. And I'm not saying it's impossible. When you say that, you get people who are like, you're saying no one over that age achieves amazing results. That's not what I said at all. I just said it's different. Certain things become harder. So the things that we have to think about for these guys, number one is time management. They don't have a lot of time to spend in the gym. They don't have a lot of time to do a bunch of cardio. Unless they've got like a desk bike or a desk walker or something to where they're able to do that. Or they, of course, if they have a somewhat physically demanding job, we can work with that. They don't have time for a ton of cardio. They don't have time for crazy workouts. A lot of my dad bod guys, what do you think happens if they're training? A lot of them can train only 3 days a week. Some can train 4. I mean, I would love it if everyone could train 4. 4 is like the optimal. A lot of them can only train 3. A lot of them have to be out of the gym in less than an hour. I have some of them who are like, because of my, again, I've got to shower, I've got to do this stuff, I've got to do this around work. I need my weight room time, including warm-ups, to be 45 minutes. Some of them are doing it 3 days a week. These are guys who want to look pretty jacked. These are guys who want to gain muscle, they want to lose fat, they want a nice big bench, they want to be strong, okay? They have to have some flexibility in their diet. So, what do we do with these guys? What do we do? First thing, the training. We don't have time to do a bunch of goof-off stuff. Honestly, what I do for most of them is going to sound kind of funny. We just come in and I program. For these guys, I tend to program their exact numbers, sets, reps, alt weight, big exercises. We focus on the big lifts. What do we mean big lifts? Squat, bench, deadlift, maybe some incline benching for some of them. Rows, pull-ups, chin-ups, those sort of things. This is what we work with for them. All right. That's what we work with. I program those tightly, usually with very low volumes. We push progression, but because these are oftentimes older men who are busy, oftentimes they're over 40, their recovery is a little lower. They don't bounce back from hard training or high volumes like a 22-year-old does. They don't. We have to moderate the volume, have to moderate fatigue management, and I got to get them out of the gym fast. So that means tight programming on the big lifts, and then usually we do arm work of some type, usually because, again, think about the dad bod thing. What are most dads looking at? They want to look good in that t-shirt. They want to look good at the barbecue grill. And if they're not shirtless, right, we better see some bicep. Better see some tricep. They need to be hugging those sleeves. A little bit of bicep vein. So we need them strong. So we've got to build everything quick with the big lifts. We tend to train those, fairly heavy. Then we come in and get some pump work in for the arms usually. If they need calves, we do some calf work. I tend to do some hamstring or lower back work because, again, many of them have desk jobs. So, I look at that sort of thing and say, what do we need for the posterior chain? What do we need to get those hamstrings strong? What do we need to keep your lower back strong so that we avoid knee problems, we avoid low back problems, those things. That's how I train them. And we have to be real efficient with that training, both in terms of time management and fatigue management. Because again, their schedules, their careers, their kids. Got to make it work. Diet. A lot of these guys have to be flexible on the diets, especially the dad bod. He's already used to carrying a little bit of extra pooch. He's going to have to do stuff with the kids. A lot of times they're doing barbecues or whatever they need to do. These are the guys who we just say, look, just force a bunch of protein down, squeeze in these extra vegetables. I usually have them eat a lot of protein. Try to keep vegetables high. These are the same sort of guys who intermittent fasting isn't a bad idea. Gives them some flexibility. Again, people with busy lives, tight schedules, okay, who need some flexibility in their diet. A little bit of fasting and keeping the protein higher than we would need for muscle growth, purely for the metabolic benefits, tends to work well. Because let's say they end up doing something and they've got to do a dinner with the kids or the wife, or they've got to go do this thing or an event or a barbecue or work function, all the stuff, they're going to be eating this stuff. If they fast in the morning and they had nothing but a bunch of lean protein and vegetables, and they hit a bunch of protein, like 150 grams of protein in the day before that, some vegetables, they can walk into that event and do whatever they need to eat. And it will work, right? That's the sort of stuff that we look at for these type of transformations. Okay, that's what we're looking at. They're not necessarily trying to look like a bodybuilder, but they want a flat stomach. Ideally, they'd like to see some ab. They want to look thick. They need to look wide from across. They want to be strong enough to pick up the kids. They don't want the low back giving out, so we've got to be good at the squats and deadlifts. We need strong hamstrings, and they need arms, right? I mean, so that's as simple as it sounds. That's a lot of what I do with them, and it works very well. And it sounds simple, but there definitely is some fatigue management and programming that has to happen on the lifting end if we really want to make it all work. But that's the basic idea. That's the basic template and concept that I work off of when tailoring this for that particular demographic. Right, and that's a demographic I'm trying to work with more and more. This is a demographic I'm trying to reach out to more. So this kind of gives people some ideas. And I think for some of those guys who maybe they're not ready to hire a coach and they at least want to start in that direction, I feel like this video could give them some ideas to get started. Okay, and then they can come to me if they need to fine tune it later, right? But that pretty much summarizes a lot of it. There's other details and things I could probably do later videos on, but I felt like I would at least discuss how I go about doing some of those transformations, or at least the different facets of it. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.